Hello everybody, my name is Kayla. I'm here today in Finca Morada. It's a beautiful day out here and we have come together to this workshop about rainwater catchment system. You will see the steps that it took to put up these things together. Tag along with me in this video so you can see us connecting and just having fun and being ourselves. Maybe this will be useful for you. I am not an expert on this, but I will link social media for this person. I was just showing you around the place first, but at this time I was about to leave. So I'm starting by first showing you around and then we will get to the explanation. I hope you get something good out of this. Thank you for watching, and if you want to put up a rainwater catchment system, you can contact the person's link below and they will surely help you. So thank you for being here. Now we will get to the sauce or the juice.
And it rains 60 inches in a whole year. 10 foot by 10 foot is how much? 100. 100. 100 times 60, 6,000. So you can collect 6,000 gallons in 1 year. That's a giant system. In order to catch all the rainwater from this house, for example, you would need a gigantic system. So that's the other part of the design, is to know what are you okay with saving, what are you okay with just letting it go back into the ground. What are your purposes of catching rainwater? Here in Miami-Dade, it's illegal to catch rainwater and bring it into your house. There are no permits written for it. I looked it up yesterday. They even try to permit catching rainwater for the garden, but we won't talk about that. Okay, so knowing that it's just for our garden out here, you also want to know how close is the garden space where you're catching your rainwater. You don't want to divert it too far because, for one, water flows off gravity. So if you don't have a hill, like we don't have any hills around here, you need elevation. You need your tanks to be raised. Water only needs a 2% slope to move. I don't know how to do that math in terms of feet and inches, but basically you just need some height. So we're going to be lifting our tanks up on cinder blocks. And that's enough height to get it to the localized region. If we needed to run water from those tanks all the way back here, it would be a very, very slow trickle. But the amount of water you catch increases the pressure, so that also adds to the speed in which the water flows. One thing I noticed about my rain catchment system at my abuela's house, when we had power outages and there was no powered water in the city, I was able to go out to my tank and fill a 5-gallon bucket and bring it back in the house to flush toilets. That was very, very helpful. I didn't have a compost toilet, and sometimes you don't want to use a compost toilet, so flushing water is good sometimes. And on average, an American family uses about 180 gallons of water a day. So if you were going to homestead and want to try to calculate how much water you would need, kind of take that math and go, okay, if I need around 200 gallons of water a day to live with me and my family, how much water do I need to catch? If you were to live off-grid and do a system, you would want to pressurize your system and bring it into the house for pressurized water, but that's or you could bring 5-gallon buckets and do it the rustic way.
But if you really needed 200, you probably don't really need 200.
No.
If you were using 5-gallon bucket at a time, you'd figure out it. Yeah, you'd be like, no, 200.
You need to use the washing machine. Yeah, for
figure
sure.
out another way. Real quick.
One thing is to figure out a good location for your system. Tanks get algified very quickly, so in full sun, you would need to protect it somehow from reducing the algae that's going into your tanks. If you could put it in a full shaded system and like hide it somehow, then you don't need to paint your tanks. But we painted these because they'll be in dappled sunlight. They're 2 coats, a primer and a finished paint. A lot of things on YouTube say paint it black, but I thought black was kind of ugly and it also attracts heat, so we wanted to make it a prettier dark green. Some people wrap their tanks in plastic, black plastic. And I've seen other people say that they detach their system every year and pressure wash it clean. If you're just using it for your garden, there's not really a need to clean out your system. The plants like algae, the plants like the gross things that come off the roof, so they'll take care of all that stuff.
So is the algae in the rainwater, or is the algae on the roof?
The algae forms when it's collected and still, sitting still. So it's like tiny bacteria that already exist in the water, and then when it's still in a tank and the sun hits it, it's fed by the sun, photosynthesizing and growing. Yeah.
But probably both, I would think. It probably picks it up from the roof and it's already in the water.
Yeah.
Like micro little. But just to add to what you were saying about the plastic, we talked about maybe doing the plastic. A lot of people wrap it in this black plastic, but there's all these folds, and we thought that water would definitely kind of stick in there, and then mosquitoes. Yeah, we're already trying to turn over every little leaf, you know. So yeah.
The system that we're gonna do uses totes. They're called IBC totes, which I don't know what that is an acronym for. But they come in various sizes. Chris's are 250 gallons each, so we're going to be collecting 500 gallons, which is amazing. Barrels usually cost around $50, more or less. They're 55 gallons. And the totes, how much were your totes?
I want to say they were like either 80 or 100, something like that. I had to go to Hialeah. If anyone needs them, what's that?
Did you get it from Moses?
From Moses, yeah. 120. That sounds right. There's like a cheap, you could get, there was 2 options. One is food grade, that was probably 120. Maybe the non-food grade was 80. I got the food grade.
Can we explain that too? Food grade versus non-food grade?
Yeah, you want to elaborate?
It's just what's inside previously. So
Yeah.
if they were shipping some sort of chemical, that would be non-food grade, or if they were shipping something that could be used in food, which you might not think is food grade, but it could be like polypropylene glycol, which maybe you don't want, but that is technically food grade.
So when it comes to feeding the garden, would you rather use food grade or non-food grade?
I personally would rather use food grade because it's going to be less toxic. It might still be a little toxic, but it'll be less.
So anything consumable, food grade, if it's like external or whatever.
Yeah.
Wait, so you bought them used? Is that how it works?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't even know where you would go to buy them new. Probably if you want to buy them new, you're buying them like in bulk because you're this huge corporation that's shipping these really large raw materials. You know, so there's this guy named Moses in Hialeah,
I know a guy.
and you go there and you buy it from his like 4.5-foot abuela who she speaks no English at all. Called me Poppy the whole time.
Oh, that's
So many times. And then Jorge went later back to like pick up because I couldn't get it all. She was talking about me, and then she was like, you know, hemming me or whatever. And Jorge was like, "That's a woman," and she was like, she was in such shock for the whole time. That's the best rain barrel hookup I've found.
You can get them on OfferUp too. There's a place called Rain Barrels Are Us on Instagram. That's where I got my 55-gallon barrels too. And then the big cisterns, those are larger sizes. They can catch, the totes generally go up to 375 in gallons, and then you can get the bigger things that are more costly and catch more. There's a house down the way called Gaia Ma that it was my first job out of college, and I helped install rain barrels in the ground. We dig out and we got really shallow ones because you can't dig too far down here. And he's catching over I think 2,000 gallons and uses it for the rain, but he also got it secretly to come back into the house.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so they're using a pump, obviously.
They have a pump, and their system is pressurized, submersible pump.
How far down can you dig?
Depends on where. I don't know where the water table is here, but
I mean, people
generally-
install pools, so
Yeah.
at least that.
So as
And-
long as you have heavy equipment, you can break
Yeah.
through the bedrock.
And I know Tree Amigos in Davie, they installed their catchment in the ground as well, and they had an issue with water pushing their tanks back up during the summer, and they learned the hard way, and they had to wait for the dry season again, bring it back down, and then cement them down. Yeah, so it can get pretty elaborate, but we're gonna try to do things the most costly way, and the DIY way, cost-effective way. Thank you. Opposite of costly. So if the tanks were, let's say, $100 each, I think the Home Depot parts that we got to connect the tanks in all were a total of around $100. So we're looking at $300 system here, roughly. Yeah, I feel like we're ready to get into it. I was also wondering how this could be done without like plastic parts. You know, bamboo could be a really cool gutter system. Then bringing the bamboo down to the tanks in some way. But one thing that you really do need PVC for is the connections here. But first, let me get back to here. So this is about 4 inches, and then we need to reduce down to 2 inches. These totes connect at 2-inch parts. So I got this cool like funnel reducer thing that we're gonna install. This part right here before you get to the tank is called the first flush system. So all the dirty water from the roof in the first rain is gonna flow down and stay in this like tube. At the end of any heavy rain event, Chris or residents will come out and unplug it and let that water gush out, or you can catch it in a 5-gallon bucket and then plug it back in, and then it's ready for the next rainfall. So so this will fill up with dirty water, and the principle is that then the next water that's coming down is too full. Where's it going to go? It's going to go to the easiest place to leave. So then it'll fill up here first. This tank will be connected with this one with PVC at the bottom, so as this one's filling up, this will fill up at the same time. Called a daisy chain, which you mentioned earlier. So you can connect multiple things. As long as they're all connected at the bottom, they'll all fill up at the same time. If they're connected at the top only, that means that this has got to fill up, then overflow, then the next one. And then you'll never be able to get water out of this guy. So you want them to all fill up from the bottom to the top. And then at the end, we have a little pipe sticking up. That's when this is full and it's still raining. You gotta have it go somewhere or it's gonna back up into her gutter. So you want it to just plop right out. So that's the basics of it, and it's lifted up on some cinder blocks.
And those are bananas too, right?
And these are bananas that will hopefully hook a garden hose up to this and transfer it over to any thirsty, water-loving plants. Chris hopes to have a banana circle nearby, so that's the dream, lifting the cages on the cinder blocks and then doing all the PVC connections. So I guess I don't really know how to break up everybody theirs, but we can go to the site and talk about that. Does that sound good? With these corners protecting, I guess, in whatever random location, the main point is to get the downspout coming out here, which are located in the back.
So quick question, were these clear before?
They were clear, they were translucent, like they're white.
And that's why painting them to reduce the algae growth.
Yeah,
There it is.
super important. Especially because it's going to get some sun as the...
Did anybody say when they got
What's that?
these? I was just curious where you got these. I was late, so I didn't mean to make you repeat anything.
Some guy named Moses in Hialeah, but you can go to offerup.com
Okay.
to get used ones.
Cool.
We were talking about food grade versus non-food grade
Yeah.
and your importance, like your concerns with that. I didn't care if I got food grade or not with my garden because I know they can take it. And I was just watering like not like annual like lettuces or something like that.
Right.
So first let's put them in the tanks. We need to get these tanks out of the way also because the cinder block people are going to be coming this way. We're going to install the tanks in the shaded area in this alleyway. Because it's in the shade. Yeah, let's move it together. How about where you're standing, Kayla? Right there. On the dog. Good, where the dog is, we keep going.
Can I move this?
We might be able to get away with leaving it there.
Okay.
Let's now lift this together. Oh, yes, up. Here, we'll use those. But they're like, yeah, I think they were like guards. Well, yeah, maybe. Let's see, should we pull that back more? I think we do. Put it like this, because I think that's how it's oriented. Let's put all four corners of these protectors there. And Bianca already found the others. Yeah.
Okay.
So, we're going to angle it this way and then pull it out that way. Kind of that's enough.
So if they aren't food grade, like, how do you assume they were?
And then I could use a couple hands over here to clear some of these branches and things.
Where are you putting the tanks?
The tanks are gonna be along this wall here. Okay. Those
Good
guys
shade.
stay there. Yeah, they're gonna be here and here. 1 and 2.
Okay, so
what we're
area
gonna
we're
do.
putting on
Yeah, so this is the area that we're gonna clean these branches out of the way because I'm thinking like what's gonna happen is we're gonna need to be able to pass through and the thing's gonna take up this whole space. So we can like cut these guys down and then we might have to dig them out a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit of labor.
Yeah, it's hot, so.
Ingrid's taking over. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
That one still needs to come out.
No, I think it's going in.
The caps have that standard pipe thread like that already?
A little bit of water in there.
Huh?
The caps that come
Oh,
with the IBC totes,
yeah,
they
that's a
have
good
that
question.
thread.
No, we bought this. The standard IBC totes.
You want to take this out?
No,
Put it in.
secured and be. Yeah. The water's gonna be hot. Well, it's gonna be in the shade, luckily, in that alleyway. So the IBC totes normally come with just that.
Is piece like a different piece? Because normally the piece so it doesn't leak out, obviously. And just like a top that you can
That's a good question. I think some of the totes come with different kinds of tops. Some might just be completely open without this black thing. So it depends on what you got, what you get.
Do you know what the difference between a hammer drill and a regular drill is?
One goes da-da-da-da-da. Hammer.
It's not more powerful. It's like not.
Yeah, the hammer is powerful. It's good for like really like it swivels a weight around as it hammers, so it can force something stronger, like tap cons into a concrete or something.
Okay.
That's strong enough to do tap con a little bit, but hammer drills.
You think a regular drill can do the same thing like this?
Yeah. This is basic drill needs. You can get a cheapo depot type drill. And it'll be fun.
What do you want to put?
In the toolboxes if you get in the shade, thank you. We're site prepping over here. That's food.
I remember so much people do this.
Oh, you're outside of that? That's pretty awesome.
So your rise run calculated
I'll
using
let
Oh,
percentage.
thank you.
So quarter inch was about 2%.
Okay, a
Something
quarter
about
inch for a foot.
Eighth inch is probably a percent.
Really?
Okay,
Yeah, so 2%, so quarter inch per foot.
great,
My name is
perfect. Perfect. So if we're going 10 feet, and that's
10 feet would be
4
2.5 inches.
of height. That's easy. That's achievable.
I didn't even know how to screw it on top like this.
Maybe not all of them come the same way. We're just saying that.
No, if she gets this one, it's probably the same.
Oh, okay.
This is a 1 inch or 2 inch?
This is a 2 inch. I have a cool little tool. I can show you how I figured out what size that is. You could also use a tape measure.
And he didn't come to this. He said that he would come to me. So I'm guessing.
Yeah. I got like 6 of them from him.
Oh, really?
Chris really helped me out with that code.
Oh, cool. I mean, I think some great things. Yeah, just send stuff right now.
I can talk about tools while we're standing around. For this kind of work, some essential tools. Tape measure, very essential to know how long you're going to cut the piece and where. A saw to cut the piece. I use usually a Sawzall, which is my automated thing because I don't want to waste time doing this. Yeah, or a jigsaw is a good one. Glue. You don't need the primer if it's brand new pipe, so you don't need to waste your time buying that. If it's brand new pipe, you don't need that purple primer stuff. So I just bought the glue.
Why is that?
Primer is to clean off dirt. It also slightly eats away the plastic and makes it more abrasive for the glue to stick onto. So it's okay to use it, but I just take that stuff out. Channel locks. I think these are called channel locks. Yeah.
I thought there was a monkey wrench.
Monkey wrench. Monkey wrenches are the ones you
yeah.
do your thumb and it opens up.
Yeah, these.
Yeah. This one like guides down and locks into the channel. So channel lock. They're really essential for like larger things to grip on and move. And I use this gauge tool to figure out diameters of things. This is not essential. You could use a tape measure and hope that it's correct. But
Sometimes the tape measurement's a little off.
a little off, right? It's hard sometimes. I learned a trick in the wood shop. Instead of starting from the tip, you want to start more from like 10, because this can get old and start to wiggle, and you don't really know where it's starting from. So like start more from a rounded number and see. It kind of looks like 2, you're not really sure. So I use this, and this measures interior diameter, and this measures exterior diameter. So I just stuck that down, and here's the twisty thing. Twisted it, and then read it. I was like, that's hard to read. What the hell is that? It's in like 16ths. 16/16ths? It's an inch. Oh, I'm reading here. 2. So it's just over 2 here. It's like, what is that? 2 and an eighth? They don't sell that at the store. I'm just going to grab 2. 2-inch and nip it. Sometimes you just got to guess, because most things come in nominal sizes anyway. And, oh, super important, with every threaded connection, we should put this on. So let me put this off if anybody wants to unscrew that one. Teflon tape. Teflon tape kind of seals the gaps of threads. So if there was a lot of water pressure here, you could prevent the water from leaking out by kind of sealing those gaps. So you grip onto it like that, circle around once, circle around twice, 3 times even better. That's all you need to do.
Will you still be able to unscrew it?
Yeah, it's not glue.
Sometimes it's, it's like interior diameter, right? So maybe the 2-inch interior diameter of the pipe.
Yeah. Oh, perhaps. Yes. Anybody? Andrew? You want to try, Andrew? Okay. You could put it right in here.
Crazy
Martina did it on her own.
Great job in the space. Looks awesome. If you wanted to be really, I guess, like detail oriented, you could get like a board across here and then put a level on top of your board to see and make sure that your ground is level. It does kind of look like it's sloping a little bit this way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you own a level?
I own several of them.
What's
Several
your longest
levels.
level?
I will find out.
Okay.
But I think
If you have a short one, you can use a board. Sure.
I'll be back.
So I also farm a veggie farm in the Redlands. So I'm also doing this action a lot. 46 inches. I didn't hear you. 46 inches? 46.
They don't
So
work square.
2 were next to each other.
But you know what? They're not perfectly square. So are you putting them longwise or the shortwise?
Okay, good question. The spout is the short width. Is that correct?
So in that case, it's closer to like 39.5 inches.
See? It's what? 39.5? Okay, so round it to 40, and we'll give
Or,
couple inches.
100 centimeters.
We'll give a couple inches of space in
All
between.
the measurements.
So 40 and 40 is 80. We're gonna stop right here at the cinder block and go over Chris.
Yeah, and coming up to the edge of this wall over here, it's about 110.
Perfect. Yeah, plenty of space. Chris, would you like the tanks kind of like matching this? Is there any aesthetics that you like?
Personally,
Well, I think it's
tucking it in just a little bit more, so you're not seeing it come from this end.
yeah.
I think that just tucking it in.
We're gonna do our first flush against this board that I nailed here, so that's good to go a little inwards. Yeah. Cool. So we have plenty of room.
So we are sloping.
We are sloping
Yeah. So
towards there, right?
yeah.
I'm gonna bring the high point.
Hey, do you want another level?
Yeah.
Pretty there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Good level.
Oh, I got
Yep.
16, so we can do 8 per.
There you go, bro.
Oh wow, forgot. We
Okay.
just got a huge donation.
So 4 per side then.
4 per side.
So like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
Okay. All right. So we have a total of 16 cinder blocks. We'll use 8 cinder blocks per tank. That means 4 cinder blocks for the right, 4 cinder blocks for the left. We're going to orient it so that the spout faces out this way.
Are you putting the tanks in flat and then you're going to slope the pipe, or are you trying to slope the tank?
Everything's going to be flat. The only thing that is, we're raising it up, and then with a garden hose, we'll bring it to wherever it needs to go. And that's the slope. From the garden hose, from the tank to the garden.
And quick question, the reason we raise them up is to,
Have more elevation and more pressure.
when you go ahead to,
If you do it on the ground, if we're going to do it on the ground, you see how low those spouts are? That's just like 4 inches off the ground.
can you put a pump in?
You can use I think it's called a low flow pump, or you can even put a submersible pump inside.
Transfer pump for garden application would probably be better. Those cost like $7.
Yeah, if you need to pump your water, if you're going really far places, that you definitely should use a pump. If you're doing localized gardening in this passive way, you do not need pressure.
Yeah, we were just
Pressurization.
trying to think about what's the system that we can do that's the most affordable and accessible, so that we
Accessible
can,
for
we can
all,
sort of
yeah.
just like spread the good word of rainwater collection to as many people who can afford to do it as cheaply as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as attainable as possible.
But yeah, if you're trying to do more gardening and go all these other places, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
No,
if
I
you're-
think like for $90 you can get a timer and a transfer pump. You're gonna use this hose, right?
I don't know.
No, we have that's a whole nother workshop.
Let's
We haven't
get a
gotten
team
there
of working on leveling the cinder blocks. So I would suggest that you get 2 people working on this side, and then another 2 people with a tape measure working on the other side, the span of the tank. Does that make sense? So if the span is 40 inches from the outside to the outside. Was that right? Does anybody want to get some cinder block action on? Bianca? Yeah? Let's do 5 inches out where the next grid will start. You can start there. And then 40
And we also have to check if the pumps
Yeah. from the outside of the cinder block. Switch out so if you're in the angle of your body.
I imagine that the weight of the water will level it eventually. It's
That's what I
find
think.
its own way.
That is a good point.
But if we can just get them sturdy and in line,
And
it'll
from
probably.
it's from the
end
house
to
to 48, or you can start the other.
What do you think? This is fine?
Make sure it's from the house.
I think this
to
is
the
good. I think this is fine. We'll go this way.
To 48, and 48 on the outside, perfect, and then check this space.
Look
We're
at that.
geniuses.
Awesome. More or less, right? It's fine. And then 40 inches from the outside of your block to the outside of the next block. So that way
To my eye, these are like radically different, right?
More than likely.
Alright, we see what's happening here. Right?
Yeah, these are not parallel.
Yeah, no.
Should we fix these?
Yeah, I think we need to.
Well, I don't
You
know
can
which one's
step-
correct. So 40 here. They should both be 40. Not this way. This way. Yes. Okay.
Sloping towards
So
us.
maybe can you bring this one, Sophia, a little inward?
Like there's a gap at the end.
Yeah, 'cause we wiggled the brick.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's at 39.5, so I think it has to go this way.
Okay, that looks good.
Yeah.
And then let's see this one. I bet maybe when you were wiggling, Carlos.
Could have been.
Wiggle?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, too
Yeah,
much
wait.
wiggle, bro. Not the dance floor.
Save it for the nightlife.
Oh yeah.
It's okay if it's like not to the exact.
That's why.
Keep connecting it all. We can't do
Not
that
everyone wants it.
until the tanks are in place.
Spaces available, like the for sale signs. We're just connecting those landowners with local farmers to create new job opportunities. You know, and support local produce, entering the market through small businesses like restaurants, pizzerias, things like that.
Right.
So the typical small farmer, they sell direct to consumer, but no one's really thinking about connecting small farmers and business to business.
Lovely, that's great.
At least in
Great
America, from what I've seen.
Yeah. There's like a couple. There's a couple actual farmers that will try to do it.
They'll try, yeah. But there's always a couple limits on how much any one farmer or even any one organization can do.
Yeah, of
Someone
course,
want to
yeah,
get in,
exactly.
get in here, get their hands in, touch some bricks and stuff.
I was gonna let the other stuff, but you guys do.
Yeah. And the thousands of pounds of weight is gonna like
Yeah, true.
settle everything to where the water wants it to be. So.
True. That looks good. And then this 4. Looks good.
Awesome.
Now we're ready.
Okay. Next step.
Yeah. We carefully dance the tanks in the space. There's some. We're holding it here before we continue. So that it's your turn. We can go turn, guys. Speak louder so they can hear you.
Just step on top of the bricks, but be very careful.
There you go. Nice and graceful and slow.
He does it.
We're moving into the back.
All the way to the back.
But you get
Careful.
time and help you finish the
Now you
fire.
figure it out.
Maybe we should have done the back one, back cinders first. Awesome.
Awesome. Can we make sure that it's nice and flush against the wall? That it looks evenly dispersed on the cinder blocks?
Is this the second one?
Just a second. Here's the first. I don't know what you want to call it.
Well done.
Ah,
Deep one. It's a
it
deep one.
looks gorgeous.
The deep one.
How's that feel? Sturdy?
It's not wiggling around.
No wiggles?
No wiggles.
Okay.
Anybody want to switch out? You're good. Keep going, please. Thank you.
So which end is which?
Your side goes like this.
Take your time. No rush.
So how's this?
You want to ask the painter what is a type of thing I'll stick to plastic.
Yeah, so I use
What about you? What
the
brought you?
first I used a primer. That's like a multi-surface primer. And that did peel off. So I don't know how much worse it would have been if I didn't, but I left
Your
it.
shadow
That's why.
button.
That's why I came up to
That's
say
what I
hi.
recommend putting it in the coat. And then I use this like
It's not a
Dex
bad thing.
paint that I had
I think
laid
we
around.
So you're saying the process you did it.
That's cool. That's good to meet someone and check
I waited, but it was like a few days of sun, and it started to peel that primer. So I wouldn't.
Maybe we need some more landscaping back there. You want some loppers?
Dry, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just gonna grow back.
It will, yeah. Anybody know where the loppers are?
Dry, back in.
Yeah.
Dry, not too long.
Oh, you call this?
Lopper. Lop them off. Can I pass them to you? You want to do it?
Okay. I can help you on.
So we got the gutter attached to the edge of this roof here, so it's going to collect all the rain that hits the surface of this roof, and also some of that other roof right there. Yeah, it's just going to drip down this way, a little bit of a slope, and down this little windy tube. Because there's a little bit of a slope to this roof,
Oh,
it's going to catch plenty.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know if you remember what she was saying about, like, if you have like a 10 by 10 roof, that can catch 6,000 gallons of water. We can only catch 500 right here.
Yeah.
So we don't need to like
Constantly.
have gutters on the whole everywhere because we're only catching 500 right now. So
If you need in the future, if you think like you are going to add some others,
I would like to do that in the future. Yeah, I want to set up more barrels on other parts of the house and more gutters. So this is just the first step. Yeah.
I just made mine a 55-gallon barrel, so I just let that dirty water fill up and stay there for a long time. So that's fine too.
And then what do you do with it?
I direct it to my bananas.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it covered? No. Oh, it's a 55-gallon barrel with a top that I cut a hole in to let it fill up there. Yeah, there's water coming out of it. It's not a pretty sight, but it does the job, and I catch 600 gallons in a rain. All right, so we're gonna install the first flush system, then connect to the tanks. So my first thing I want to do is work backwards. We're going to measure the distance between these tanks here. Actually, I think I want to show you the whole parts of it. Will you guys bring those PVC parts over here that are on the ground? The long one, the funnel, the little T. Yeah, those are good. Thank you. Perfect. So you lay the length of it on top of these tanks. And who has the T's? Thank you. And you can put the rest on the tanks for now. So in the stores you can get tees. Yeah. You can get tees like this that are swooping, or you can get the basic tees that are more straight. So either one is fine. I just got the swooping one for fun. I think that was what I did. So it's gonna go like this. We're gonna cut a little piece of the 2-inch pipe to fit. So one piece of the 2-inch pipe will go in here, and then another will come out here, and we'll marry the two. These parts don't need to be glued. The only part that needs to be glued is pressurized, which is the parts down here. So you can even save on your glue as well. And it's good that they're not glued, so you can pull them apart and clean out the pipes if things get dirty. So it's going to go like this. The next one's going to go like this. They're swooped in this direction, meaning the water will flow here first. If I did it like that, it would still flow in, but this just encourages more water to come into the first tank. They're going to be connected by the same piece. We're going to cut a little piece of this 2-inch pipe over here for a little white. I don't think I have enough length to do the first flush and to bring this out here. So we're going to leave this step unfinished for the workshop, and I'll buy some more material to finish it for Chris. But you'll see what it looks like. And oh, sorry, doggy. To get to this, we're going to use the 2-inch will be the first flush as well. So I screwed these boards into the house, and we're going to put the accordion onto that. You could go a step further and put a mesh over this, or like a pantyhose, to prevent leaves from going inside. She doesn't have too much canopy, so that's not much of a worry here. And then we're going to do the first flush going here, trapping the dirty water with a little spigot at the bottom that she can let that out. The water's going to fill up here. We're going to use this piece to go over. I'm going to angle it. We're going to go into here with some other elbow that I have someone else sling around. Cool? Kind of get the theory of it. So I'm going to shout out some measurements, and we're going to draw it on this pipe and get to cutting. So first I'm going to work with this length. We're going to fit those together. I'm just going to measure the inside. There's a little ridge here to know how far this PVC is going to come down into it. So it's about 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, and then the next piece is about an inch. But we're going to do 3-inch pieces. So we're going to cut 2 3-inch sections off this 2-inch pipe. That'll be our first step to connect these guys to the tanks. And then after that, we'll take the measurements for the next one. You don't really want to like create a list of cuts preemptively. because dimensions change as pieces fit together. So you're going to want to work step by step. So 2 3-inch pieces. We're going to bring this onto the ground, back on that plastic glue thing. Watch out, Ingrid. Thank you, Carlos. What's your name again?
River.
River.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me grab a marker. These, because it shows you exactly what you mean. If you just did a line like this, you wouldn't know really where to start, or if you tried to make a straight line. But that's your V, and then I'm going to set this up. Oh, this is only a miter. No, here we go. Here's the straight. Are you right-handed or left-handed? I'm right-handed. All right. You grab the saw of your choice. Either one is fine. You want to put it in between. I think it'll fit in those grooves. Yeah, so start going at it with one hand, just one. Maybe this one might be easier. It might be easier even further away if I brought it to the other side of the fence. Yeah. See if you can find that, meet that groove. Did I move it? Yeah. And bring the saw into that space right there. Like that. It takes a long time. Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay. The next one, and then the next one, and then that's why I got a power tool. So I don't have to do this over and over again. Never mind, I don't have an extension cord here.
Oh. We get from the other side.
I mean, yours, okay. It's okay. We can all get in this manual energy. Well, we can cut the other 3-inch piece on the other side.
What do you think? Get the idea? No?
So I got this rubber hammer, and it's useful for tapping on plastic pieces. If you use a metal hammer, you could crack it. It's kind of bouncy, so it doesn't make sense to do it on the tank. But you want to put these pieces together?
Sure.
Please. Actually, first, hammer them outside of the tank. Like on the ground or on a hard piece on the wall. Now we're going to take a tape measure and measure from here to here and cut the next piece. Someone have a tape measure? It should be 40.5 inches. 40.5? 40, here's a tape measure if you want to.
40.5.
40.5. 40.5. Oh, thank you.
Wow,
Yeah.
Teflon.
Give me a salt water.
Around one side and then through.
Good things today to
Oh, look at that. Nice.
So that's it.
That looks good. You can even look inside here and see that, like
Let it
where
come up. Oh, yeah.
that they're attaching very nicely. So that's good. Valve at the bottom that is hard to find, a threaded connection at the store. So I just bought this rubber connection that can fit over any sort of pipe that has a general outer diameter. So it loosens by twisting, and we're going to just pop it over the valve at the bottom and then tighten it back. In addition, this part right here is what we're going to connect our 1-inch pipe, which essentially will fit to a garden hose. So that's the daisy chaining part. The water is going to fill up from the bottom and fill the tanks simultaneously. So you have a different one. This is a nice example. This is called a slip connection. There's no threads here, so it's called slip. This is called threaded connection. So sometimes you're going to go into the store and not have one, like the Home Depot near here has horrible amounts of selections. So I had to get one of each and just make do with it. So when I have a slip connection, we just cut off a piece of here like we did with the 2-inch and put a little piece and then the T fittings. When you have a threaded connection, you need a threaded, they call in plumbing parts male and female. So this is the male part and then this is the female part that it goes into. So the threaded female part. Zephyr, will you put some Teflon around that and then we'll connect it here.
And we're going to glue the slip one.
We're going to glue it, yeah. This is where we'll use glue on the bottom part.
Top is okay because it's not under pressure and all that.
Right.
You can service it that way, but the bottom you want to
Exactly. They recommend that you, like they as in the internet, says you shouldn't glue the tops. That way you can service it.
Right.
But you have to glue the bottom. There's way too much pressure in those tanks. The parts will just bust out. I think we can go ahead and pop these on and tighten them. So will you choose either one, and would you choose the other one?
Yeah.
There we go. Lovely. And then tilt it so you have some space for your tool. Yeah, I'll get out of your way. You can twist it so that the thing is in an area where it's easy for you to use. This is what you want to tighten.
Oh, right.
And use this.
Did that one.
Use this band, yeah. Yeah. And because this is flexible,
Oh, yeah.
you can use one hand to hold it. Yeah.
Is it supposed to be all the way to
Yeah. Well, yes, hers did. So maybe it's possible. Just gotta loosen it a little bit more. Does anybody want to come close and see what these connections look like? If anyone's curious, feel free to peep. It's still spinning.
So you want a little, no wiggle room.
If it's still spinning like that, I would keep going.
Okay.
Because it's going to have a lot of pressure.
Right.
Yeah, use your other hand to just brace it. Does it feel harder?
Mm-hmm. But still some room.
There's a little concern, so we got to make sure we're tightening really strong. Let me show you a trick.
Okay.
When you thread, want to make sure the thread is aligned, go backwards to make sure it's set in, and then go forwards.
Okay.
Here, you want to use this tool?
Yeah,
Let me-
did the other one.
Let me.
Okay.
And right.
Does this need to be tightened?
Keep going.
Okay,
Yes.
That's
There.
what I thought you meant, but. Okay.
There.
All right.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Look at that.
Fine.
Lovely. Why? Because you went a little too far?
Yeah. No one saw the magic.
You
You saw the magic.
And I got it.
You got it. Oh.
No, that's good.
I think we should probably
Yeah,
cut
that's
these
good.
a little bit more because there's
Yeah,
a
you
lot
want
of
to
thorn
keep doing
bush.
some landscaping?
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
I
all
interrupted her.
thorn bushes. Because eventually you're gonna have
We'll
to
give
come
you some
back.
loppers. More loppers, more landscaping.
There's a lot of thorn bushes when you're trying to get down there. Oh yeah.
You want a lopper? Inch pipe. The 2-inch pipe is also going to serve as first flush and to connect over here. So we're going to cut another connecting piece here to here. And I'm going to go more 2-inch piece go in here. We're going to go up and then we're going to go over. Does that make sense? So let's get 3. So we need 1, 2, 3. 3-inch piece.
Can't say I
Yeah. Sometimes it gets glued to itself, so you do need your tools to.
I think I tried using hot glue. That was like there.
Lefty loosey. Counterclockwise. Too big. One more notch. That should be enough. Thank you. Stinks. It even says it's low VOC. Where did it say that?
Right there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but I don't.
What is
Hard to
the
imagine that being worse.
volatile.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Volatile organic compounds.
Yeah, they'll get you super light edited too.
I'm going to connect these pieces here. So generally, if you have the primer and your stuff is dirty, you need to use the purple stuff and clean it. And clean every piece.
I have the purple stuff. You want that?
This is brand new. It's not needed.
Okay.
You want me to do
When
it?
it's brand new, you don't need the primer.
If it's brand new, you do not. I'm sure experienced plumbers might use it just in case because it says that the primer does kind of slightly eat away the plastic to help like a stronger grip. But we're not doing anything with like a strong pressure. Like we're not doing a pump system, so it's not necessary.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. I mean, I say it's okay because I'm very relaxed on things.
Okay.
But you may, and people can be as detail oriented as they feel called to. And that's fine. So I'm gonna just do a little ring a couple times, make sure it's even. Then I take the piece I'm gonna glue to, stick it all the way in, and do a quarter turn. That fell on my leg. Quarter turn, why? Because you're pulling the glue with it, so that in case there was any air bubble when you put it in, that turn helps that air bubble go away. Does that sound right, Chad?
Perfect spot. I couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, cool. And the next one I'm gonna do here. Do you want to give it a shot?
Yes.
Okay, great. By the way, I didn't do this on the first one, but generally people glue the inside and glue the outside together.
Okay.
So just gonna get
So you
some
put
of
it
that
on
glue
both?
off. Yeah, I glue both female and male.
Just leave it up. No. Okay.
Yep, get some of it off. Gotta move kind of quickly because it dries quickly. Oh, you okay?
Yes.
Here you go. Press, yes, and then turn if you can. Perfect. That was great. That's just a
All the
quarter.
way?
No. No.
Like that?
Okay. Yes. You don't want to overturn because then you're pulling the glue away from the surface. You just want to do a quarter of the circle turn, not half or more. Just a quarter is all that's needed. Okay? And we're going to take this over there and glue the rest of it together.
Do things separately.
1, 2, 3. That's gluey enough for you.
On the inside?
Nope, outside. Ready? Go ahead.
I can't get in until. Oh, there we go.
It's flexible. Wonderful. We did it. Cool. We did it. All right. The next part is connecting these guys. These aren't under pressure, so we don't need glue. Does anybody remember the zigzaggy design of this? This goes here, right? And then we cut that piece here for Mr. Swoopy Pants to come around like that. And then these two will meet up like this.
How are we attaching it to the piece of wood?
I'm gonna look in the shop for any sort of like thin metal strap and just like nail it to either side like that. So look here, see how there's a slope? You definitely want that. You do not want this lower, right? That doesn't make any sense. So that's where we're gonna kind of like hope for this outcome, right? So it should sit up on its own if we lock everything in place enough. Like that. So you notice down there, the pipe is open, right? So we need to close it. One end needs to be closed, and then the other end, closest to the garden, needs to have the outlet connection to the hose. So in theory, this should go inside or over, right? And close off your first flush system. Oops. So that's going to go here, and then that will ideally go over it.
Oh, so we need another piece?
I have to go back to the store.
Oh, okay.
And then if you can move your hand so people can see, then you just turn the garden hose and empty it out. Another design could be you just buy a cap and fit the cap over it. And you could it could be a threaded cap. So that would be an inside piece here with a threaded opening and just let the water run out. I think this should be glued, that way it stays securely in place. That'll look nice. And then what's missing? What would be missing out of this system?
I believe.
Because we're almost done. The thing that connects the garden hose, that part's missing. The end cap here, so the water doesn't leak out on this side. And this side here, the overflow piece. So we need to cut off a 2-inch piece that goes past this tank with a little elbow going up, which I don't have enough of that material, so I have to also buy that in the store.
I forgot about that.
So that would be a system. And if you guys are going to try this at home, give me a call and I'll help walk you through it.
And why not down? Why does it go up?
It's a good question. You can do it down. Miami-Dade County says it's called backflow. Should be something pointed out, because that way, if there's a bunch of water falling really fast, then it could want to shoot that way. If you had it down, so if you have it up, it makes sure that the water comes back into the tank in case there's a lot of force going that way, like a white water rapid.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
You got it. Whoa.
Land into the sand
Well,
pit.
there is going to be something that is going to cover so the water don't leak that way, and here is the thing to connect the hose to put water in the tank.
No, I think a banana circle would be the next extension, where we're bringing the rainwater to a banana circle. Chris says that she would like to remove this fence and then place the bananas a little bit further out that way.
Okay.
So if you already have a gutter system, you just remove the downspout part of it and put this flexible thing on it.
Okay.
If you don't have a gutter and you're starting from scratch, then you don't have to buy that elbow. You could connect this accordion directly to the gutter.
Okay, with the
tapping screws. It self-taps a hole without having to use a drill to pre-drill.
And do you have something in there to block the leaves?
No, but you can. You can do that. And at Home Depot, they also have these like little grates that you could put for your rain catchment system to prevent leaves from going into your situation.
And you mentioned pantyhose. Could you just use pantyhose?
Yeah. You just want to check on it and make sure that it's not getting all backed up. So you want to, after rain, come out, open your first flush, check your pantyhose.
Or they
can
get its hair in there.
Yeah. Remove any of the junk that could be stopping the water from flowing.
Mesh.
Yeah. If you're bringing this water to the inside of your house, you want to be more particular and concerned about filtering out little leaves and sediments. But if it's just for your landscape, then the only reason you would worry about it is if you have a serious tree right over your building and those leaves could get in and block the flow of the water to your garden.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what if, let me get a question.
Yeah.
What if there's like a lizard that gets caught and dies? Now, is all that water
Contaminated?
Contaminated.
You shouldn't be drinking your rainwater unless you filter it, run it through a filter. Maybe you should boil your rainwater first, then filter it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the whole thing wouldn't be contaminated.
It would. If the lizard died in this system,
Yeah.
let's say, and didn't get into here, then I guess maybe not. Because if he goes in the first flush system, you can like drain him out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to have the end of your first flush be something that can let all the water out, not just a hose. Remember to twist it only a quarter.
Just a quarter.
That's all she needs. Boom. One more.
How big is that?
What is 3 inches?
About 4 hours. Because it was just splashing.
And what we're gonna do?
I'm just
what's left?
missing the bottom piece. I bought the wrong size, so I'm just gonna connect this guy. We're gonna strap him with metal straps to the wood, him or her, or them, and then we'll put a little cap there. I bought a thing that would be a hose bib, but I realize now that it shouldn't have a hose bib at the bottom because what if there's a lizard inside or something? It should be like a large cap that'll allow the whole thing to shoot out. So I'm glad that I got the wrong size.
Yeah.
So it can be a lizard saving first flush.
Yeah. Maybe we'll put a little like
Little
metal
mesh.
screen or something at the top so we
And
can.
that can be right here too. You can
Oh,
put
yeah.
the screen.
Right.
So it's in a human height, easy to change. Like a pantyhose, just put a pantyhose over this part.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
Nice to
thank
meet
you.
you all.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you. This to us.
Yeah, and feel
Yeah,
free to
thank
like
you.
hang out. You can just like give some energy and gratitude to Martina.
Thank
Some
you.
energy and gratitude to the land, and to ourselves, and to the rain that we are going to collect and love and feed this garden. And just thank you all so much. So much appreciation for showing up today. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are we starting 2 more now?
We're gonna start. Yeah, who's next? Go to your house. But yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.